In this video, we are going to talk about the Jupiter's transit into the sign of Pisces for all the moon sign and ascendant. So keep watching. Namaste and welcome to Brahmanic Astrology channel. I'm your host Prasad Mahazani. Help you raise your vibrations and become your true self with the help of Vedic astrology. Jupiter has just entered into the sign of Pisces, and in this video, we'll talk about transit for all the ascendants. What is the planet Jupiter? The planet Jupiter is a planet of wisdom, abundance, positivity, virtues, values, gurus, mentors, and money, children. Anything and everything possible which is positive in your life can be seen with Jupiter. Okay, and this Jupiter is going into the sign of Pisces. What is the sign of Pisces? The sign of Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, so it has all the qualities of Jupiter, of wisdom, values, virtues, which we discussed earlier, and it is also a water element sign, which brings in the depth to this knowledge, which brings in the depth to all the qualities of the Jupiter. The sign of Pisces is also a dual sign, as in it is the dual sign between the 11th house, that is the Aquarius, and the first house, which is Aries, which is the new beginnings. So the sign of Pisces is the ultimate sign in the zodiac. So it is the last sign. It is the sign of maturation for all the planets. So if you have more and more planets into the sign of Pisces, shows you have more evolved soul with respect to that planet. Now, before we talk about the Jupiter transit into the Pisces, I want to tell you, don't just rely on the transits. Why transits fail? They fail because you don't give attention to the dashas. Vimshottari Mahadasha, Chara Dasha, Yogini Dasha, Narayan Dasha, all these kind of dashas, Kala Chakra Dasha, are far more important than transit. Then what is the significance of transit? Transits help you to, refine and pinpoint the triggering of an event. Okay, so Jupiter into the sign of Pisces or any sign, you always have to analyze your chart first for dasha and yogas, and then at the final analysis you should apply the transits. Don't just jump to the transits and apply it at first. Don't do that. That won't help. Now, having said that, I've already made a video on dasha versus transit that will help you to understand what exactly is the difference between dasha and the transit. And today we are talking about the transit of Jupiter into the sign of Pisces for all the moon sign and ascendant. Whenever I say any sign, consider it as moon as well as your ascendant. Okay, and if you have any specific questions around your own chart, put them into the comment section. I read all the comments and I reply to all the comments. And if you still have any questions, you can always reach out to me and put your questions there. And if you want to have one-on-one coaching with me, I have few slots available for coaching, which will start on the 3rd May, which is an auspicious day of Akshaya Tritiya. So if you want to have one-on-one packages, coaching sessions with me and transform yourself, just check out the link into the description section. And if you are just starting into Vedic astrology, these sessions will really help you to get started into Vedic astrology. So let's jump into the transit for Jupiter in Pisces. Let's talk about the Aries ascendant. For Aries ascendant, the transit of Pisces is going through its 12th house. The 12th house is the house of long-term planning. We oftentimes know the 12th house as the house of losses. Yes, it is the house of loss because it is 12 to the first house. So it is the loss of energy, the loss of self, right? And the Jupiter is the planet which is all about the divine guidance. So the planet of divine guidance comes into the sign and house which is more about the abstract things in your life. So you will feel stuck in your life during this time, but at the same time, this is the time to plan for the next cycle of the Jupiter, right? So it's time for you to plan for next 12 years of your life. 12th house is also the house of foreign things. So you might have a mentor from the foreign culture, or the foreign land, which will help you to understand more about life, which will bring in the wisdom in your life. Okay, so this was Aries ascendant. With Jupiter in the 12th house, it will aspect the 4th house and the 8th house, which is a moksha trikona house. So this will also bring in a lot of spiritual inclination and spiritual practices into your life. Okay, and those will mostly be foreign to you because of the 12th house and 12th sign impact on your chart. Okay, so yes, let's talk about the Taurus ascendant. For Taurus ascendant, the sign of Pisces comes into the 11th house. So now Jupiter is moving from the 10th house to the 11th house of Pisces. 11th house is the house of gains. 11th house is 6th to the 6th. So it is the obstacle to the obstacle. Now the planet of expansion, the planet of wisdom, wealth, money is coming into the 12th house of gains. So this period will be the period of gains for Taurus ascendant, Taurus moon people. You will always have the wisdom. You will have and guidance and financial abundance during this time. Okay, at the same time, this Jupiter from the 12th house also aspects the 3rd house, 7th house and the 5th house. So you will feel this effect of Jupiter in these three houses as well. And at the same time, the Saturn is also coming into the 10th house and Rahu is going to the 12th house. So you have to combine all these to see what's happening in your chart. Okay, even for the Aries ascendant, and for rest of the signs we will talk. Now let us talk about the Gemini ascendant. For Gemini ascendant, the this transit of Jupiter in Pisces is coming into the 10th house, and Saturn will be in the 9th house and Rahu will be in the 11th house. So during this time, the Gemini person will feel motivated to do big things in life, because there is a combination of the 10th lord, 9th lord involved into this. Two of the big planets coming into this 9th and 10th house axis, right? And Rahu is also into the house of gains. So during this time, you will work and you will have gains from your work. Okay, so it's a very good time for Gemini ascendant, Gemini moon to get benefits from your work. Okay, it will also make you travel. It will also make you have an higher studies and get gains from it, because 9th house is also the house of gains where Saturn is placed in. Now let us talk about the Cancer ascendant. Jupiter is transiting through the 9th house. The 9th house is one of the most auspicious houses of the chart, because it is the house of fortune, it is the house of bhagya, it is the 2nd house to the 8th house. It is the 10th house to the 12th house. It is the 11th house to the 11th house. It is the 9th to the 1st. 9th house is the most auspicious house. Now for Cancer ascendant, Jupiter is transiting through the 9th house and will aspect the 5th house of Purva Punya and one of the triangle house, and it will also aspect the 1st house of personality. So the Cancer ascendant, Cancer moon people will have a makeover, will have a change in their personality. They will think differently when it comes to looking at life. They will have a positive outlook towards the life because of impact of Jupiter on their personality. At the same time, Saturn will be transiting through the 8th house. We'll talk about that later. Okay, now let's talk about the Leo sign. The Leo sign, Jupiter goes through the 8th house. 8th house is the house of death and rebirth and ups and downs, right? And the planet Jupiter is the planet which brings in the expansion and positivity in your life. 8th house is also the house of occult. The planet of wisdom comes into the sign of depth and comes into the house of occult and mysticism. It will make you get attracted towards occult and mysticism. You will be attracted towards astrology, psychology, Reiki, pranic healing, all kinds of tarot, all kinds of mystical things in life. 8th house is 11th to the 10th house. So you will have gains in your career through the mystical sciences or through the mystical and occult subjects. Virgo ascendant, Virgo moon. For Virgo, Jupiter is transiting through the 7th house. 7th house is the house of other people. Seventh house is also the Maraka house, and the planet of Jupiter is the planet which blesses this house. When Jupiter is seventh, it gives you the protection, it gives you the recognition. Seventh house is 10th from the 10th. So Jupiter in this seventh house gives you rise in your career, makes you travel. It also brings good people in your life. It brings you good associates in your life. It connects you to good people in your life. It brings you some mentors who will guide you in your career. Now, let's talk about the Libra ascendant, Libra Moon. For Libra, it is going into the sixth house. Sixth house is the house of enemies, and it is also one of the Arthur Trikon house. So when Jupiter goes into the sign of Pisces, into the sixth house, it makes you work, and at the same time it gives you financial gains. The planet of wealth comes into an Arthur trine house, but for that it will make you work, because sixth house is the house of continuous efforts and work. Sixth house is also, I have seen that the Jupiter in the sixth house is very good for art. No matter what field you are in, if you have Jupiter into the sixth house, it will give you great result when it comes to artistic pursuits. Okay, so no matter what you're doing as a profession, try to bring in that artistic element into your profession, and that will bring in money and success for you. Okay, from the sixth house, it is aspecting the 10th, 12th, and the second house. Second house is the house of money. 10th house is the house of your rise and status in the society, and the 12th house is the house of foreign land and the house of spirituality. So the planet of wisdom aspecting the 10th house of rise and 12th house of spirituality. So it will bring in some mentors into these areas. So it will connect you to some guru. It will connect you to some, expert in your field, which will help you to have a rise in your career. Okay. Now let's talk about the Scorpio ascendant. For Scorpio ascendant, it is going into the fifth house, and in fifth house, it will aspect the first house and ninth house. One of the most auspicious houses, fifth, ninth, and first house. All the Dharma houses are getting impacted by the Jupiter in the fifth house in Pisces, and it also aspects the house of gains. So when Jupiter is having aspect on the ninth and the first and the 11th house, it is one of the best placements. It will bring in a lot of positivity and achievements in your life. It will give you gains. It will give you financial gains during this transit as well. And it will also help you apply some of the things which you learned last year. And the application of that information, of that knowledge, will also bring in a lot of money and success to you. Let's talk about the Sagittarius ascendant. Sagittarius ascendant itself is ruled by Jupiter, and now Jupiter is transiting through the fourth house. So the Jupiter is ruling the first and the fourth house. Two of the Kendra and the trine house is ruled by Jupiter. Now it will bring in a lot of feel good into your home environment. It brings in the positivity, optimism, and expansion into the fourth house. You might move to a new home, new bigger home, right? So the fourth house is also the house of your emotions, your home environment, and it is also about the things which you learn. So the planet of wisdom comes into the house of learnings. So it will expand your learnings. You will read new books. You will connect with new mentors, because Jupiter is guru. So no matter which house it transit, it will educate you with respect to that house. Okay. And fourth house is also one of the moksha trine house. So it will aspect other two moksha houses, 12th and the 8th, and will inspire you and will make you work towards these houses of spiritual practices and occult and mysticism. Okay. And these are the houses which will make you, read about spirituality, read about the 8th house, occult and mysticism, psychology and astrology. Okay. Now let's talk about the Capricorn ascendant. For Capricorn ascendant, Jupiter is going through the third house. Third house is the house of self effort and your heart wish. Okay. From the third house. Jupiter is aspecting the 11th, 7th, and 9th. Again, it is aspecting two of the house of finances, 9th, 11th, and one karma house, which is the 7th house. Okay, now with Capricorn ascendant, Jupiter will make you read new books, will make you grasp new information. It will also help you connect and spread your message. You will have some wisdom. Now it will also make you communicate. Third house is also the house of communication. The planet of wisdom, the planet of expansion comes into the house of communication. So this will make you communicate with the larger organizations, with the larger group of people, and you will inspire them, you will educate them, and you will, expand their horizon. You will help them grow in whichever stage they are. Okay, so Jupiter, you will bring in the wisdom of Jupiter. You will pour the wisdom of Jupiter into their life through your communication. Okay, now let's talk about the sign of Aquarius. For sign of Aquarius, Jupiter is going through the second house of the horoscope. The second house is the house of things which you value in your life. It is also about the things which you can take care of yourself. Okay, these are the tangible resources one have. The planet of finance goes into the house of money. Okay, it's a very good combination for financial wisdom. Now during this time, somebody from your family will help you to grow financially. Some of your friend, or your brother, uncle, some father figure, some mentor will help you to grow financially. Somebody will guide you financially, how to make investment in stock market, how to make investment at the age of 20, 30, 40, 60, wherever you are. Okay, so this is the house which is all about the money and resources, and Jupiter is the best planet to have into the second house. And all these are the transits, so always check the second lord and dasha to have a pinpointed impact on what's happening exactly into your chart. Let's talk about the Pisces ascendant, Pisces moon. For Pisces ascendant, Pisces moon, this Jupiter is going through the first house, and now these people will have a complete new level of understanding in their life, right? These are the people who will have mentors into their life. They will have people who will guide them into their life, and it will also make them uh, learn new things and have a divine guidance during this time, which will change their perspective, which will change the way they look at life. Okay, so an amazing transit for the Pisces moon and Pisces ascendant. Okay, so yes, this was Jupiter going through the sign of Pisces for all the moon sign and all the ascendant, as much as I could hold, grasp, and share with you guys. If you want to learn Vedic astrology step by step, join me on 33 days Vedic astrology bootcamp. If you want to have one-on-one coaching with me, check out the session. And if you want to have one-off session with me to discuss what you can get into that coaching session, check out the link into the description. Sending you tons of positive energy, sending you high vibrations. See you in the next videos. Love and peace. Namaste.